It is December 14th, 2000, in Barcelona, Spain. A man named Carles Reixac is sitting in a restaurant. He is Barcelona's sporting director, one of the most powerful men in European football. A man who has seen thousands of players in his career and can tell within minutes whether someone has it or not. He has just watched a 13-year-old boy from Argentina train for one afternoon. Now he is being told that if Barcelona does not sign this boy today, right now, he will be gone. Reixac looks around the table. There is no contract, no lawyer, no official document of any kind. He picks up a paper napkin. He writes on it. He signs it. The napkin says Barcelona will sign Lionel Messi and pay for his medical treatment. That napkin, sold at auction in London in 2024, for £762,400. The boy it was written for has won 8 Ballon d'Or awards, more than any human being in history. He has scored over 800 career goals. He has won the World Cup, the Copa America, the Champions League, 10 La Liga titles, and every individual honor the game of football has ever created. He is widely considered the greatest footballer who has ever lived. And none of it, not one goal, not one trophy, not one award, would have happened if a man had not picked up a napkin in a restaurant on a December afternoon and written a promise on it. Because 3 years before that napkin, a doctor in Rosario, Argentina, told Lionel Messi that his body had stopped growing, and that without treatment he could not afford, it never would again. Lionel Andres Messi was born on June 24th, 1987, in Rosario, Argentina. His father, Jorge, worked in a steel factory. His mother, Celia, worked part-time in a magnet manufacturing workshop. They were not poor in the way that means no food. They were poor in the way that means every unexpected expense is a crisis, and there is no room for anything going wrong. Messi started playing football at 4 years old with a local club called Grandoli, where his grandmother coached him. By 6, he had joined Newell's Old Boys, one of the biggest clubs in Rosario. By the time he was 8, coaches were calling their colleagues to come and watch this boy because they could not fully explain what they were seeing. He was small, noticeably small, even at that age, and he moved with the ball attached to his foot in a way that did not look like something that could be coached. It looked like something he had been born with. At 10 years old, he stopped growing. Not slowed down, stopped. His parents took him to the doctor. Tests were run, more tests, a year of tests. At 11, the diagnosis arrived: growth hormone deficiency. His body had stopped producing the hormone it needed to develop. Without treatment, doctors predicted he would reach a maximum height of 4 feet 7 inches and stop there permanently. The treatment existed: daily injections of synthetic growth hormone, every single night, into his own legs. The cost was $900 a month. The Messi family could not afford it. Newell's Old Boys had been watching Messi since he was 6 years old. They knew what he was. They had seen nothing like him in their youth system in living memory. They agreed to help with the treatment costs. Then they stopped paying. The money ran out, or the will ran out, or both. The family was left with the bills and no club willing to cover them. They went to River Plate, one of the biggest clubs in Argentina. River Plate's scouts watched Messi train. They said no, not because he wasn't talented. Everyone who watched him train understood immediately that he was exceptional. They said no because of the medical bill. $900 a month for a child with no guarantee of becoming a professional footballer was a risk River Plate's board would not take. The greatest player in the history of football was rejected by the biggest club in Argentina because nobody would pay his doctor's bill. His father, Jorge, spent months making
El traspaso
calls,
es inminente.
writing letters,
Barcelona
seeking
es el
anyone
destino.
in football who would take the financial risk that the Argentine clubs had refused. Barcelona came back with a yes. Not immediately, not easily. A scout named Horacio Gaggioli had seen Messi play and called a football agent named Josep Minguella. Minguella had sent footage to Barcelona. Barcelona's coaches had watched the footage and asked to see the boy in person. In September 2000, 13-year-old Lionel Messi and his father flew to Barcelona. He trained for one afternoon. Carles Reixach watched. And then there was the restaurant, the table, the napkin. Quick pause here. If you're watching this and thinking, wow, I want to make videos exactly like this, then I have something for you. I created this entire video using free AI tools in just 4 to 5 hours. No team, no expensive software, no camera, just a system I built myself. The same system behind my channel that got 2.9 million views and made $31,000 from one single video. I've put everything inside one complete course. Every tool, every prompt, every single step. Link is in the description. It's $100 right now. Launch price. Go grab it and start your first video today. In 2001, Lionel Messi moved to Barcelona permanently. He was 13 years old. He left behind Rosario, his mother, his brothers, his friends, his grandmother who had first put a ball at his feet. He arrived in a country whose language he was still learning to compete in La Masia, Barcelona's legendary youth academy, one of the most competitive football environments on earth. Every night, he injected his own legs with growth hormone. He did it quietly, without complaint, while competing against boys who had never had to think about whether their bodies would develop the way they were supposed to. He was still the smallest player at almost every level he competed at. At La Masia's under-14 team, he scored 21 goals in 14 games. He moved through the youth levels at a speed the academy had rarely seen. C team, B team, then a first-team debut at 16 in a friendly. On October 16, 2004, 17-year-old Lionel Messi made his official La Liga debut for Barcelona. He came on as a substitute. Within minutes, the defender marking him was booked for a foul because the only way to stop him was to foul him. Some things do not change. Here is what the growth hormone deficiency actually did to Lionel Messi. It left him at 5 feet 7 inches. Below average height for a professional footballer, lighter than almost every defender he would face, easier to knock off the ball, in theory, than someone built like a traditional forward. In practice, it did something else entirely. His low center of gravity made him almost impossible to unbalance. Players who lunged at him found that he was already gone, already past them, already accelerating away at an angle that the defender's body could not replicate in time. His short stride pattern allowed him to change direction faster than taller players, to stop, pivot, and go in a completely different direction in the space it took a defender to blink. The thing that was supposed to end his career became the physical foundation of how he played. He turned the deficiency into the advantage. And then, on top of that physical reality, he built the rest, the vision, the left foot, the ability to see a pass that existed in a space that nobody else on the pitch had identified yet, the calmness in front of goal that made scoring look like the simplest thing in the world when it is the hardest. He won his first Ballon d'Or in 2009, then 2010, then 2011, then 2012. 4 in a row, something no player had ever done. then 2019, then 2021, then 2023. 8 total, a number so far beyond anyone else in history that the conversation about the greatest of all time became, for most serious analysts, less a debate and more an acknowledgement. For 20 years, one thing was missing: the World Cup, Argentina, his country. The tournament that Maradona had won in 1986 and that haunted Argentine football like a ghost that refused to leave. Messi had tried. 2006, eliminated in the quarterfinals. 2010, quarterfinals again. 2014, the final. Argentina lost to Germany by 1 goal in extra time. Messi won the Golden Ball as best player of the tournament and could barely look at it. 2018, eliminated in the round of 16 by France. 31 years old, then 33, then 35. Every year that passed, the same question from the same journalists, asked in the same tone that made it sound less like a question and more like a verdict. Will he ever win it? In 2021, he won the Copa America with Argentina, their first major international trophy in 28 years. He broke down on the pitch after the final whistle in a way that players who have everything do not usually break down. On December 18th, 2022, in Lusail, Qatar, Argentina played France in the World Cup final. It is considered by many analysts to be the greatest football match ever played. Argentina won on penalties. Messi lifted the trophy. The boy from Rosario, who had been told his body would not grow, who had been rejected by his own country's clubs because nobody would pay his medical bill, who had left home at 13 with a needle in his bag and a napkin as his only contract. He lifted the World Cup. He sat down on the pitch afterward and stared at it for a long time, like he was making sure it was real. The napkin that Carles Reixach wrote on in that Barcelona restaurant in December 2000 sold for £762,400 at auction, more than most footballers earn in a year, for a piece of paper with a promise on it. The promise was simple: we will sign this boy. We will pay his medical bills. We will give him the chance to become what he is capable of becoming. Every club in Argentina had been offered that same promise and said no. River Plate said no. Newell's Old Boys stopped paying. Everyone who watched him play understood what he was and still decided the medical bill was too expensive. $900 a month. That is what the greatest career in the history of football almost cost. $900 a month, and no one in Argentina willing to pay it. One man with a napkin in a restaurant changed that, and the boy who injected his own legs every night without complaint, who left his mother behind at 13, who was too small for every club that saw him until Barcelona took the risk. That boy went on to win everything the game had to offer. 8 Ballon d'Or awards, the World Cup, the Copa America, the Champions League, over 800 goals. All of it built on a foundation that almost did not exist. A foundation made of one doctor's diagnosis, one club's refusal, one man's napkin, and one 13-year-old boy's decision to keep going when everything around him was telling him to stop. The needle went into his legs every night. The ball went into the net every weekend. And the boy who was too small to play football became the reason everyone else measures themselves against him.